What's worse than being locked in a cage? Think about it. For me, it's being given the key, but realizing that your every move, every step you take, even the very act of wanting to unlock the door was preordained from the moment you were born. This isn't the simple story about a hero who became a villain or a villain who believed he was a hero. No. For me, this is something far more terrifying. This is the tragedy of Eren Yeager, the man who craved freedom more than anyone in the world, and in his pursuit of it, became the greatest slave of all. Today, we're not here to debate if Eren was right or wrong. That's a different, simpler conversation. We are here to ask a much more painful question. Was he ever even free? Let's set the stage, just for a moment. We all know the beginning. A boy screaming at the sky, furious at the walls that caged him and his people like cattle. His entire existence, his very soul, was defined by a single burning, primal desire: freedom. And then, he got the power to achieve it. Not just the power of one Titan, but two of the most powerful forces in existence: the Attack Titan and eventually the Founding Titan. He gained the power of a god. He had the power to protect his friends, to save his people, to reshape the world. But here is the cruel cosmic joke that Ishiyama wrote into his DNA. The Attack Titan's unique, terrifying ability, the power to see the memories of its future inheritors, wasn't a gift. It was a curse. It was a prison far stronger, far more absolute than any wall of stone. This is the core of the paradox. The moment Eren kissed Historia's hand, the moment the floodgates of the future broke open in his mind, did he have any choice left?
Or did he just become an actor? A man forced to walk a path paved with blood and bone, desperately playing out a script that he himself, in his own despair, had already written. This is the Eren Yeager Paradox. To gain his freedom, he had to become an absolute slave to fate. And when you look at the key moments, his choices feel less like choices and more like shackles. Eren's greatest power wasn't the colossal titans at his command. It was his ability to see what was coming. And that, right there, is his heaviest chain. Let's talk about the scene that, for me, truly defines his tragedy. It's not a moment of rage. It's a moment of tears. When he breaks down, sobbing, and apologizes to the young refugee boy, Ramzi. When we first see this, we think it's anticipatory guilt. He's guilty about what he's about to do. But I want you to look closer. Listen to his voice. Watch his face. This is not the guilt of a man choosing to commit a horrific act. This is the profound, soul-crushing, absolute despair of a man knowing he will commit it, and that he is utterly, completely powerless to stop it. He isn't crying for the choice he's about to make. He's crying because the script is already written. He's mourning a future that is already fixed, a future he cannot escape. He is a ghost haunting his own life.
And it gets so much darker. The scene that just breaks your brain, his confrontation with his own father, Grisha, in the Rice Chapel. Through the power of the paths, Eren isn't just watching the past, he is influencing it. He doesn't just see the future, he actively manipulates the past to ensure that his horrifying future comes to pass. He is the one who goads his crying, broken father. He is the one who pushes Grisha to slaughter the Rice family, to steal the founder. Stop and think about that. He is the cause, and he is the effect. He is the ghost of Christmas future, forcing the ghost of Christmas past. It's a closed, perfect, tragic loop. He is trapped inside his own timeline, forced to push the first domino that he knows will eventually lead to the destruction of the world and his own damnation. Where is the choice in that? Where is the freedom in being the author of your own inescapable nightmare? This brings me to his mantra, the phrase we all associated with his will: keep moving forward. We always thought it was his indomitable spirit, his unshakable belief. But what if it wasn't? The scene that haunts me more than any battle is his final conversation with Armin in the Paths. Armin, his oldest friend, the voice of reason, the one person who should understand him, asks the simplest, most important question in the entire series. Why? Why did you do all this? Was it really for us? And what does this godlike being, this man who has seen the beginning and the end, say? I don't know. He says, I don't know why. I had to. He had to see that scenery. The world flattened, the clouds, the empty land. He says he was born this way. He says he would have done it anyway, even if he didn't know his friends would be saved. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Is that an answer? Or is that the single most terrifying confession in the entire story? This is not the logic of a free man making a calculated strategic decision. This is the language of compulsion. This is the language of an addict. It's not free will. It's something far closer to biological determinism, a philosophical nightmare. He's not a man with a plan. He's a program executing its one terrible line of code. Keep moving forward wasn't a choice. It was a command burned into his very soul, a command he couldn't disobey even if he desperately wanted to. So, he did it. He kept moving forward. He destroyed 80% of the world to get that scenery, to get that twisted vision of freedom for his friends. But did he ever get freedom for himself? Here is the ultimate bitter irony. Eren's desire for freedom was so absolute, so all-consuming, that he was willing to take away everyone else's freedom to achieve it. The rumbling is the ultimate act of imposing one's will on the entire planet. But in that very act, he lost the last and most important freedom he had, the freedom to choose not to, the freedom to stop, the freedom to be wrong. He became a tool, a slave to his own abstract concept of freedom. What I find most heartbreaking, what tells me everything I need to know, is his confession to Zeke. He's quiet. He's not raging. He admits that when he saw his father's memories, he was disappointed. Disappointed. He was disappointed that Grisha didn't stop him. Disappointed that the future he saw didn't change. Can you imagine that? He wanted to be proven wrong. He was hoping, praying to a God he didn't believe in, that someone, anyone, would stop him, that his father would resist, that his friends would find another way. But he knew they wouldn't. He knew every countermove Mikasa and Armin would make. He knew the exact outcome. This is the total, agonizing loneliness of a God who is bound, hand and foot, by his own omniscience. He had to play the part of the monster, knowing and hating every single line of the script. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I can hear it already. You're just making excuses for a mass murderer. You're just blaming fate for his own monstrous choices. And you know what? That is a perfectly valid argument. This is the other side of the paradox, and we have to look at it. What if the future Eren saw wasn't an immutable law of physics? What if it was just the result, the final sum of the equation, the result of the choices that his own nature was always going to make? What if the future he saw was just a reflection of the rage, the violence, and the uncompromising will that was always inside him? From this perspective, fate is just a sophisticated excuse. He wasn't a slave to the future. He was a slave to his own rage. He was a slave to that same little boy who years ago murdered 2 adult men in a cabin and justified it as getting rid of beasts. Maybe the rumbling wasn't his destiny. Maybe it was simply his character. And he chose to let that character win and used the future as his justification.
Ultimately, Eren's entire tortured existence throws us headfirst into one of the oldest, most impossible debates in human history: free will versus determinism. If you could see your entire future right now laid out before you like a map, are you still free? Or does the very act of knowing that future lock it in? Does it steal your ability to choose? Because any choice you think you're making is already part of the vision you saw. Eren's tragedy is our own, just magnified to a global apocalyptic scale. We are all bound. We are bound by our pasts, by our societies, by our fears, and by the very chemicals and impulses in our own brains. We all crave freedom, just like he did. So I have to ask you, where do you land on this? Was Eren Yeager a helpless actor in a play written by fate? Or was he the director all along, the one who chose to stage this apocalypse? Let me know your philosophy in the comments. In the end, Eren Yeager got that scenery. He won, in his own twisted way. He gave his friends long, free lives, just as he planned. But he paid for it by becoming the very thing he swore to destroy. He became a monster, a global tyrant, and he played out the exact horrifying role that his future memories demanded of him. So here is my final, haunting question for you. As he stood there, in the paths, or as that final blow came, do you think he felt free? Do you think he felt the peace he was looking for? Or do you think he just felt the cold, silent, and terrible emptiness of a script that had finally, mercifully, reached its end? And it leaves us with one last, devastating question. Is a life where you already know the ending even worth living?